your screen and you click raise hand. That will indicate to me that you have something to say. When it is your turn to speak, I will unmute you and you can fire ahead. The whole meeting will run like that. So I hope that's okay with everyone. The chat is muted to everyone except the host, so you can send a message to me if there's something that I've missed or anything, but otherwise there isn't kind of a group chat. Just to let you know, for GDPR reasons, this is of course being recorded on loop, and it is also being live streamed to YouTube, so that all the students can, you know, be involved and see what we're up to. It'll be on YouTube after we're done as well as a recording. So if you have an issue with that and don't want to be involved, you'll have to leave, but I'm sure everyone is happy enough with that. So I think we can kick off. The first item on the agenda is the minutes and matters arising. So if anyone has any questions relating to the minutes, could you please raise your hand in the participant bar? Okay. I'm unmuting Rory Williams-Doyle. Rory, name and course code, please.
Rory Williams-Doyle, CPSSD 4. Just a quick point there on the minutes taken for the Shannon reform section. Just in the very first paragraph, it's stated on the third line that the overall goal of the motion is working towards abolishing the Shannon. This is slightly incorrect. Can this be changed to working towards overhauling the Shannon? And just kind of in Cal's response there as well, the Manning report is also referred to as the Manley report. So could that typo be fixed as well?
Okay, yeah, the secretary will take that on board. Sinead, if you've anything to say, you're unmuted. If not, we can.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I'll fix those and make sure that that version is uploaded to the website instead of the other one.
Perfect, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you, and thank you, Rory. Okay, so we can take a vote on the minutes with those corrections. So all in favor will poll will pop up on your screen now and you will vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes. Okay, perfect. That has been accepted unanimously. Sinead's last minutes of the year, so well done, Sinead. Congratulations on all your hard work. We're moving on now to the officer reports. If there are any questions relating to the officer report, please raise your hand in the participants bar. I am unmuting Jimmy now. Jimmy, name and course code, please.
Jimmy Barry Murphy, SE3. As of a few minutes ago, there wasn't the full complement of them on the drive.
I can respond for Callahan's, the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Cal did send me his. It's a video and it's large, and I'm still working out the best way of uploading them because he couldn't email it to me or send it on Facebook. So I have it on my phone and I'm trying to just get it into the drive on my phone so I can upload it through that, and it will be available shortly. So Callahan's I can take responsibility for. Katie, do you want to?
Yeah, mine is not up there. I'll have it up by this evening. I've been quite busy with class recollection stuff over the last week and I never had a chance to upload it, but I'll have it up by this evening.
Thanks, Katie. I'm going to unmute Serkini Kungala, the Ifukuni Goelga.
Hi, I'm really sick the last week. So I'm really sorry that I forgot to upload that, but I'll have that up to you by this evening.
Thank you, Serka. And finally, Aisling, the Vice President for Welfare and Equality.
Hello. I actually had it done and completely forgot to send it to Cormac, so I sent it about an hour ago. So it exists, it's there, so it'll be visible for you.
Yeah, I just uploaded it, so it is there as of now.
So, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have queries relating to the officer reports? If not, we will move to a vote on accepting the officer reports. A poll will pop up if you are in favor. Okay. So that has been accepted unanimously. Perfect. So the next item is the President's report. So I'll hand you over to our President, Christine.
Hello everyone. Everyone can hear me okay? Thumbs up. Brilliant. Okie dokie. Fantastic. Hi everyone. Welcome to the last Class Rep Council of this year, as Cormac has said. This will be CRC number 8 for some of you, number 40 for others. So enjoy the last one. I'm sure it'll be great fun. Just a few updates from the SU sabbatical officers side of the house to let you guys know. So obviously since our last meeting, April 7th came around. So by this rate, students should be aware of your alternative assessments and what they look like and when they are and whatnot. So obviously we were kind of waiting on that date and waiting on the circumstances surrounding these assessments as well. They were going to be quite important. There was an email sent out on April 7th from DCU to students, and I think that wasn't worded in the best way possible. I think everyone would maybe agree with me on that one, that it was very confusing and didn't, I think we were all expecting April 7th and we'd know everything and it'd be clear, and it was really unfortunate that on that day I just found it more confusing than anything. And so also what that kind of flagged was that DCU had been making these decisions, but the student voice hadn't been represented at these tables, because if they had, then the wording of that would have been better and also the outcome of it would have been better. So just since that, we have been more involved in the university, which is a good thing, but just to flag that we're not happy with April 7th as much as you aren't happy with April 7th. But following on from that, we have tried to break down the communication in that, to break down the points that they're trying to say into a student-friendly format. So there was some posts up on our Instagram, but there also has been a frequently asked questions page that DCU did last week that we were involved with the wording. So just really simple terms of what these things actually mean. So that's good, and that's the way that we hope it goes forward, is that it's clear and that we're more involved. What we're finding is that we're kind of involved at the very last phases of things. So they have things done and then they'll run them by us instead of us being at the decision table, which is unfortunate, and we have flagged that and we hope that improves. So in some sense it has. Last week on the 15th of April, the new extenuating circumstances and the postponement documents were uploaded onto the website, along with frequently asked questions about those specifically. I sat in a few meetings in relation to those and literally went word by word through those documents so that they were more COVID specific and that they were more student friendly and better for students, which is great. But just in relation to those, they're better. But we have also then been involved. Cal is now on the a working group that is looking at exam supports, which is brilliant. I'm on a tech working group that looks at kind of the technical things in relation to it. So since then it has gotten better, but up until then it was unfortunate the way things were working out, and we still know that there's a few teething issues around things. That is all kind of on the academic side. What we'd love to hear though as well is from students as to like how you're getting on. I think that we can only help students if you give us, tell us what's actually wrong. So be sure as your reps, that's what you're there for, is to find out how the students are getting on and do something with it. And there's been brilliant stuff reps have been doing and representing their classmates. But if there's issues that you're finding frustrated, do get in touch with us. That's what we're here for, and we're happy to help you. But we just need to know, we're not mind readers. Some other things just to let you know as well, class rep elections that Katie was talking about, that's been brilliant, and we'll have over 250 reps elected, which is fantastic. Another amazing thing that's been happening is Clear the Head. in aid of Pieta House, which Aisling was leading out on, and there's been over €13,000 raised on that, which is fantastic. And the last thing that I'll mention is just in relation to feedback. So we did the Opinion X feedback thing last week, which was brilliant, and the report is just for noting on this, so you all have that report as well. We've also sent that to all of the heads and deans and the higher up people in DC so they can get a look at it and know the feedback from that. And we also had the student staff forums last week, so thanks to any reps or students that sat on those. It was brilliant, a great way to get kind of informal feedback in to each faculty as well. But that's it for me. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
If anyone has any questions for the President, please raise your hand in the chat. I'm unmuting Jimmy. Jimmy, name a course for.
Yeah, so Jimmy Barry Murphy, SE3. Is there, or I suppose, if you know, what's the college or the university's plan for first resit exams and then into next year? Is it going to be, are they planning to be back, or?
Yeah. Is that the question? Brilliant. Yeah. So firstly, in relation to the resit exams, DCU specifically and very clearly stated that all of the resit exams will be similar to the May exams in terms of they will be online, and there will be no fee for doing these repeats, regardless of whether you have a repeat from semester 1 or semester 2. But they will be online, and they will be in August. But specifics, like if the resits were happening, if COVID wasn't here and the resits were happening, you wouldn't know any more information about them until closer to the time. And that will kind of be the same. So you'll find out more in time. But for the moment, there's no requirement for you to be on campus first. They will not be physical resit exams. They will be online, and there'll be no fees to take part in those, just to let you know. And on the second part of that question in relation to DCU next year, that is the senior management's current focus is looking at next year. To be honest, a lot of it is still unknown, and a lot of it will be determined by the Department of Education and the HSE guidelines. So right now it's just really unknown as to what that will look like, whether there'll be social distancing, whether the first years will have a different start date. But like, as soon as we know, we will tell all of you. But the university themselves, nor the Taoiseach, I don't think even knows at this rate. So it's just holding out. But I'd say they had told me kind of the end of May, they'll have a better idea as to what next year looks like.
Thank you. Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to now go to Ben McMahon. You name a course flow, please.
Hey, Ben McMahon, CBSD4. This might be a stupid question because I might have been not paying attention. But when were the staff student forms? Because I definitely can't see an email for them. And if I'm in CPSSD, which is quite small, so if Case was invited to attend, so it'd be a little bit better. But I didn't hear anything about them.
Okay, yeah, student staff forums are done in relation in conjunction with the Quality Promotions Office in DC. So they're run with the SUNM, and it's basically the faculty reps go and ask to have a broad spread of reps or students from each course. Not each course, there's only like 5 students or so that would sit on them just to kind of bring up issues. I don't know if Josh or I think Katie did the engineering ones, if you want to say if there was a case student involved in those.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember all the students, but like it's only 3 or 4 students, and it's the same students that we would have used for them last semester as well, so we keep it continuous throughout the whole year. So I suppose it's not just that we picked these in the last couple of weeks, and these have been students that have been involved with them for quite some time now. So it would have been at the start of the year that we went out and kind of recruited those students. But Josh might be able to tell me.
Josh, if you're, hold on, I'll try and unmute you. Josh, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, we had about 5 or 6 different students, so they ranged from a different course range. So I think there were some enterprise computing students, there were some original CA students, there were some case students. And so the fact is I just reached out to class reps that I knew were involved in the process. And so yeah, they were involved. I just didn't put it to a broad range of I didn't put it out to everyone, just because there's only a few that we could get into the meeting itself. So
yeah, I guess also just to note on that every year we're always really eager to have students involved in them. So if people want to get involved with them next year, you can get on to Pod Sheehan or the relevant faculty rep of that time.
Perfect. Okay, Ben?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to, I remember seeing an email earlier in the year about them, but not since then. So I was just curious to know what happened with it.
Thank you. If we have no further questions for the president in the participants chat, which we don't seem to have, I think we can give Christine a silent round of applause for her final address of the year. I'm sorry you can't actually hear this, Christine. Well done. Thank you for all your work. I'm sure that everyone would like to give you a round of applause, but you know, COVID and that. So congratulations. Oh, Katie is able to chat and do the participants. I didn't know that. If you want to send a clap emoji, I'll let her know. Okay, we'll move on to the pre-nominated AOB. So can people who have AOB please raise your hands in the participant chat? Okay. Podge, do you?
Yeah, I can't raise my hand because I'm hosting.
Okay.
But just to say that at about 2:10, we'll have the results for the secretary and the chairperson.
Perfect. That's very exciting. We will come to that at the very end, hopefully. So if anyone else has any other AOB, that would be okay. Perfect. No more AOB. We had so much all year, none at the last one. Jimmy, are you sure you don't want to get the full house? Come on, I know that we worked on the website all year. Is it finally done? Okay, so we will move on with that one item of AOB. So the first item for agreement that will be discussed is the COVID-19 examination procedure. We've just spoken briefly on it. Ben McMahon will be presenting. Ben, just name a course code and you should be unmuted now.
Ben McMahon, CPSD4. So this, I guess, motion has come out of the works of directly from class feedback, as well as some personal experience talking to other people outside of the course. It kind of reflects on what Christine already said. So Council notes a lot of confusion regarding the policies put in place regarding this year's examinations in response to COVID-19. Council further notes the lack of any definite policy regarding the implementation of recent examinations, especially considering that should lockdown be lifted even before the August reset period, that it may be considered exceptionally risky for large gatherings of students, especially those who live with vulnerable people or who would fall into the vulnerable category themselves. Council also notes the policies and solutions put in place only really attempt to address the logistical issues around exams and fail to take into account the emotional attacks about students and the teaching staff. Special consideration and thought should go to those who are already suffering from underlying mental health conditions and those who are in situations where they're now forced to maintain a high level of focus and achievement in environments that are toxic, unsafe, and or are simply not conducive to being an environment of learning and study. Finally, Council notes that there seems to be a real lack of engagement with the frontline members of the DC community, which kind of Christine already alluded to, with confusion permeating amongst both lecturers and students. There's a sense of a lack of understanding and engagement with the primary stakeholders of the university, with information gathering efforts only really being made the week of, and in a lot of cases we've seen after decisions have already been made, and seemingly no effort to evaluate the feasibility of at-home learning beyond sentiment-based analysis of how people's internet connections work, which isn't very scientific. This furthers the feeling of disconnection between the university administration and the students, and has left many concerned about the effects it will have on student performance and long-term well-being after the exams. Therefore, Council mandates DCU to executives to create and submit a written letter on behalf of the student body to the administration of DCU to highlight these concerns very specifically, and the fact that the current confusing policies have done little to placate the concerns of the student body as a whole. Further, the executive shall seek the creation of a singular working group within the university to examine and monitor the decision-making process at a more intimate level, allowing for all members of the executive to attend these meetings to better represent student voice, and to allow for representation of student concerns from the relevant roles. So the idea being that instead of having one person on a board trying to juggle everything, that you'd have the academics affair person there to actually tackle academic affair problems. There'd be a welfare person there to raise that as a concern, education placements, and so on, so that you don't have, you know, the presence of someone going with everybody else's concerns, and also having more bodies at the table, and allowing formal contribution to these decisions instead of merely being an observer or someone who's kind of shown it after the fact. This should be with a view to examine no detriment, alternative assignments, and other affordances made in order to keep students in a clear loop regarding the decision-making process and outcomes of these decisions. I also wanted to throw in as an aside, the council would like to note the hard work being done by its representatives, all the reps here, as well as the elected officers. It would be insensitive to kind of talk about the effect that this situation has on people's exam performance and engagement generally without acknowledging the effect that it has for people who are trying to, you know, be the voice and the listening post for their class. So I think everybody deserves a real pat on the back for the work being done, particularly the last 2 CRCs in such a weird time.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So we will now open to the floor. If anyone has questions for Ben, comments about the motion, please raise your hand in the participants tab. Okay, I'm unmuting the president. Christine, you can go.
There I am. I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Ben, for bringing this forward. I just want to note a few things in relation to it. Just if you could scroll back up a bit. Cormac, is that you on the screen? That'd be brilliant. Katie, sorry. Thanks, Katie. If you could scroll back up to a little bit to the top of that motion. Yeah. I'm up a bit more, I think. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Matt. I just wanted to note in this that is, before anyone gets concerned, that DC was said that there will be no exams physically on campus. So all of the exams in August will be online, similar to the May suite of exams. And just that's really important to know, so that no one is worried that DC is making them come back on campus, or that DCU is making them like putting them in danger and stuff like that, because that's important. I guess I agree with the sense of the notion that says, you know, that we're not involved in some parts of it. I will say that that is improving. I wouldn't be opposed to a letter being written. I think that from the reps, that'd be quite strong. But in terms of a working group, I don't know if that would be entirely proactive, maybe, or strategic is the word. We do have meetings later on this week that we will be bringing up to even higher levels of DC management that we're unhappy with the lack of involvement in the decision making. But what I'd be very conscious of is getting bogged down and taking up our time in creating working groups that discuss things when we could just look forward and kind of ensure right now that we're involved from here on in, and instead of spending like a week sitting around a table and being like, okay, we should be more involved and how are we going to go about that ensure that we get involved and just spend our time working on ensuring that, if you get what I'm saying. I don't know if anyone has any other comments. Actually, Katie, would you mind scrolling down just a little bit more? I'm just going to make sure that I'm covering everything I want to say here. Just Katie, hear me? Yeah, Katie, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down a little bit more.
All the way down?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, just the mandates bit. Creation working group. Yeah, so obviously I think the big thing that this pulls out as well, this motion, Ben, there's a lot in it, and the lack of communication, that students don't know the fact that their exams, you know, won't be in person. They don't know that although DC doesn't have a no detriment, that there is the no academic disadvantage piece that's there for students. So I think this really pulls out the communication issue, and that's all not clearly in one place that students can access, and it's not in the clear student language that it needs to be. So I think that's where our work needs to be focused. But I don't know, Cal, if you want to come in on this, you're kind of our academic person, you might have more to say in terms of academic bits as well.
Cal, if you want to.
Yeah, no, kind of. I think Christine hit the nail on the head there. To be honest, like, I do think the working group, with the time it takes to set up and get stuff actually rolling from it, I don't think it would be actually that intuitive. We'd probably be actually just wasting time. The letter, I do think, is also got a good rationale behind it. So I think there's parts of it maybe that would be worse, but also there's other parts I just don't think would be as useful as possible. There's better things we could be doing with our time, I would think. That's really it. All I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Cal. I'm going to unmute Kristen Grant. Kristen, your name and your course code, please.
Yeah, Kristen Grant, AMS 2. My question is kind of more for Christine and Cal. Just a few students asked me, I'm not sure if it's doable or not, or even if it's a thing, but some of the students were asking me about, you know, the weight that this has on our actual final degree. I know for fourth years it doesn't count, but, you know, for first, second and third years, is there anything being looked at, you know, about the weight that our exams this semester have on our final degree, if that can be lessened or anything? They were just asking because a lot of them are worried that, you know, the grades this semester, whether they fail or not, won't reflect what they're actually capable of and what they've been doing so far. So I've just been wondering if I said I'd ask on their behalf if anything had been looked at in that respect.
Okay, I'll unmute Christine if you want to.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much, Kristen, for letting us know about that. So as far as I'm aware, in the Faculty of Humanities, apart from final years, people who are in first year, second year, where their first year, second year is a contributing year, so where maybe second years were 20% of their overall degree, that is no longer the case for students. That has had, from as far as I'm aware, has also had kind of a mixed response, because some people are like, well, I did great in semester one and that is worth loads of credits and I still want that to go towards my final degree. And then some people are delighted because they know that this year, because of COVID, they're just not in the same position to be doing to their full potential. But all I know is in relation to humanities faculty, I have not heard anything in relation to other faculties, but what I can do is bring that up at the next meetings we have, that if this is the approach the humanities has taken, then what is the considerations for other faculties, for sure, and I can feed that back to the reps once I know more on that. And also just to thank Ben for bringing this forward in general. It's brilliant, and he put loads of work and time and effort into it, and also that this is what we need to know how students are getting on and what their comments are, and so I appreciate you bringing it forward as well.
Okay, Ben, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple of things in there. I'm trying to think how best to, this obviously would have to be amended in some way before we go forward to kind of, I do agree that the overhead of time-wise of setting up a working group now to get changes done now is probably unnecessary. I would like to see a working group set up, I guess, next year. Obviously, I'll be gone, so only it's me, but more to kind of like with the view of a continual going forward of making sure that the students' union is continuously heard, as opposed to, you know, us kicking up a fuss now and then in 2 years' time it being an afterthought as well. Particularly with the changing of the guard in the kind of DCU administration when Breen leaves. So I guess I'm trying to think. I guess it literally changing the executive. So I guess can I amend my own motion? It's probably the easiest way of doing this.
You can amend your own motion.
Okay, so the only bit I'm looking at.
Just before you go, Katie, do you want to open up a Word document or something just so you can amend that? And
alternatively, I can amend it and send it on as like another Google Docs link, if that's easier.
I think it'll be easier just for to be shared on the screen so that the reps understand exactly what's going on. But if you want to explain your amendment.
So effectively a further to kind of add on in the next academic year, 2020/2021. So just to kind of shift, to change as little as possible, but to shift the working group forward. So yeah, so literally stick that in where it says further the executive shall seek, but to put it just after further. And that should be as little change as possible while also keeping it the same. If that makes sense.
Okay. So is what just indicate if what Katie has is what you mean.
Yeah, no, that's bang on.
Okay. Does anyone want? So Ben is obviously in favor of this motion. Does anyone want to speak against this motion? I see a couple of hands raised, but they were raised already. I don't know. If you want to raise your hand again or unraise, just so that I know what you want to speak about. I'll just. Okay, Jacob, you're unmuted. Do you want to speak on this?
Hey, no, this was just more in regard to what Christine was saying about weightings being changed for years that have contributing to their final degree. I can bring it up afterwards, even as a bit of AOB, if that's what you prefer. It's probably not relevant to what you're talking about at the moment.
We'll first of all we'll deal with the amendment. Possibly we can get back to that after, but just I'll work on the amendment at the moment. Quiva, do you have to speak about the amendment?
No, not necessarily with the amendment, more just in terms of the motion in itself. I think the sentiment is really nice. And I particularly the part where it refers to like reps and the efforts that are going towards, you know, trying to provide the best resolution for everyone. I think at the end of the day, it is, you know, it's unprecedented and it's an absolute scramble to try and get everything all together for everyone. And I think it would be nice to kind of to note that in the motion and just say that we do recognize that DCU is making every effort to maybe not, that's not how we feel at the moment, but there definitely is a certain amount, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and there's so many external considerations. So while we from the ground might feel like we're being disenfranchised, there might be a sense that on broader considerations of things, what the systems they're putting in place make sense. So I wonder if people would be open to maybe putting in a little piece just about how, you know, recognizing the efforts of DCU staff and management in their management of the situation.
Ben, if you want to add that into your current amendment, that's fine. If not, we can deal with the current amendment as is at the moment.
I don't mind sticking it in. It doesn't really change the effect of the motion too much, but I guess we can amend it.
The motion's nature will stay the same, in my opinion.
I'm sure we could stick it on, if people felt strongly about it, we could stick it on the end, but it probably makes sense to do it as a separate amendment because this changes meaningfully what the motion does, whereas the other one is kind of, it's text that unfortunately kind of be discarded.
We will, I'm happy to now go to vote on the amendment. So the amendment has been discussed, it's on the screen. Katie, if you could just highlight the bit that has been added so reps are completely aware of what's new. So yeah, we can see there that it's just adding in the next academic year 2021, so that it gives
I think almost done.
Which will pop up on the screen whether to accept the amendment. If you're in favor of the amendment, please vote now, or if you're against, please vote now. Oh no. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, you've come back. Or not?
Am I back?
Yes. Or not?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, I think I was lost there for a minute. Okay, the amendment was accepted. So we are now talking about the amended motion and voting on the amended motion. I'm going to take any more items out. Jacob, do you wish to speak again?
Just in regards to what Christine was saying about contributing years having an effect. I mean, in regard to early years that have the likes of intra elements on their course, this current situation wouldn't really affect them in that they've already done their exams for the year in the first semester. So I feel that might be kind of putting students that are on intra for second semester, or at least for the majority of second semester, at a pretty distinct disadvantage. So maybe just a caveat to what you're saying to the decision-making bodies to have that brought up, that like maybe done on a course-by-course basis rather than just a blanket, would probably make more sense. Just I know for the likes of my course, for example, like the current third years, they have all their exams done for the majority in the first semester, so it probably would be putting them at a disadvantage. So just to have that recognized and maybe brought up to have on a course-by-course basis probably would be better. I don't know if Christine, you agree with that or
cool. Okay, thank you, Jacob.
Cheers.
Christine, yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Yeah, Jacob, thanks so much. Like that's exactly it. That like I don't want to be going forward with something to the university if it's not going to be in the best benefit of our students. And I think
absolutely
that this actually, like putting in something like that, actually may not benefit everyone. And I think the most important thing would be to flag it and then do it on a course by course basis. So exactly like interest, pass, fail, and if it's only you had your exams in semester 1 and that's better, but also I'd be conscious that if someone did really well in their second year and then that wasn't counted towards their final year, how is that fair? So I think that this is kind of a bigger issue than even we see it in terms of calculating and ensuring that students are benefited to the best amount. So what I will do is bring it up and look at it in a course by course basis with kind of the deans or the program chairs and ask them, and I kind of see what way we should go about it, because definitely there's flagging, there's two sides. It's just not let everyone just count their final years. There's two sides to it, so definitely I'll take that into consideration when we're having these discussions. Thanks.
Cheers, Christine. Thanks.
Thank you, Jacob and Christine. Okay, if anyone, I'm going to move to close this motion. So if anyone wants to speak against this motion, I will now, you please raise your hand. Just in the interest of hearing all sides. That doesn't seem to be the case. So Ben, if you want to close, you can.
Yeah, I guess really quickly, I think what should be clear from, I guess, even the reps' contributions at an individual level is that people are still unsteady and unclear about what's going on. And there's a general sense of nervousness around the place, which is definitely at the very least not conducive to getting stuff done. There's other considerations that kind of haven't been addressed, like if you defer your exams till August without taking them in May, but your situation doesn't improve, do you get another chance to resit, which according to the current stuff was obviously not. If you have medical deferrals, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that are still very much in the kind of consciousness of the student body. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this will have some at least positive effects to urge DCU to kind of examine the whole thing again and to reiterate everything again in clearer language at the very least, so that we at least know what we're dealing with.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, we will now move to a vote. The poll will pop up. So vote if you are in favor or against this motion. Okay, the poll has closed. It has been passed unanimously, well, almost unanimously. Congratulations to Ben on a very well-written motion and lots of hard work put in. It's a scary time for us all, so it's good for students to know that they have reps looking out for them. So thank you, Ben. We'll move on to the motion repository item, which will be presented by Rory Williams-Doyle. We'll get that up on the screen for you shortly, and I will unmute Rory. Rory, are you going for a record for how many motions in a single semester?
Well, seeing as it's my very final CRC after 4 years of representing my class, I figured, I'll go for the home run. Thank you very much. I swear to God, this is a lot shorter than the last one, and a lot more straightforward. So I'll just read it through and I'll just open it straight for questions because I think it's very self-explanatory. So Council notes that it is currently very difficult for class reps to know what motions from previous meetings are currently enacted. Council accepts that this makes it difficult for class reps, and especially new reps, to refer to these motions when questioning the SU executive, to be aware of currently enacted motions that may already accomplish an item of business that a rep may wish to address, and to have a complete record of the history of CRC available to all students. Council therefore mandates that the VP for Academic Affairs establish a central repository of enacted motions. The VP of Academic Affairs shall then populate this repository with all currently enacted motions, including their date and meeting of enactment, their expiry date, and the exact enacted text. The VP for Academic Affairs will then make this repository accessible to all DCU students to view and will circulate an email informing students of this new facility. The VP for Academic Affairs will also report on the completion of this work at the first CRC of the 2020-2021 academic year. Council further mandates that the SU President include a link to the repository in their presidential update email on the first week of every academic term until this motion naturally expires. Essentially, in the nutshell, everything that we've passed as a body, put it in a centralized location, include when it was enacted, when it's going to expire, the exact text that was passed, so people can refer to them in meetings. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Rory. I'm going to move straight to Katie Fay.
Yeah, in the CRC, I actually decided the last project I would take on my role and hope to have it finished by the end, before we finish in mid-June. But I have started this and I have the dates when they're enacted, when they'll expire, all that sort of stuff. Just trying to find all the motions is quite difficult. So it's difficult for us, it's very difficult for reps, which I completely understand. So I don't know if you want to maybe amend it and put it in that it's engagement and development since I started, or do, but it's definitely underway and it is a needed motion, definitely.
Yep, I don't mind moving to amend to swap out academic affairs with engagement and development.
Perfect. Katie will just indicate that on your screens and we'll move straight to a vote. Very straightforward. I don't think we need a discussion on this.
A lot more straightforward than the last one.
You didn't even have to spell Shannon 7 times.
Oh God.
Yeah, so basically we are just voting to amend the motion that it mandates the VP for engagement and development rather than the VP for academic affairs, just because that is what is represented in the Constitution for who has the onus for class rep council. So I think we can move. We see there. We'll move straight to the poll. Please vote. Perfect. So that motion has very clearly passed unanimously. So thank you. If anyone have any final points about the amended motion, Katie, do you have something to say?
Oh no, I don't need to vote on the actual motion. We only vote on the amendment.
You sorry?
Yeah, vote the actual motion. We only vote the amendment.
Yeah, I'm just asking if anyone wants to have any final comments on it. So if you want to raise your hand, please do. Okay, we'll move straight to a vote. Please vote. Okay. That motion has passed. Congratulations to Rory on his final CRC after 4 years of hard work. Another big hitter of CRC leaving. So congratulations and well done. And
thank you very much
for all your hard work. If I could give you a bouquet of flowers, I would. But
I'll give you my address.
don't wait up. Okay, so we will move on to the next item for agreement. The item is CRC scheduling. It was an item that came up in the previous CRC, and it was in CRC 1 of this semester, and it was postponed to now. So Owen, do you want to now speak on this motion?
Essentially, the situation has very slightly changed since then with the whole global pandemic. So I'm not even going to bother saying anything about it. I'm going to propose procedural motion 4A2 that the question not be put because it's just completely not relevant at the moment.
Okay, so
I think it's 4A2. Let me check.
Whip out your
yeah, let me get up the schedule D.
Constitution. We are obviously working off the new Constitution that we adopted in week 6. So
4A2, question not be put. Yeah.
Okay. Bear with us for a second, and when that is ready, it'll pop up and we will vote on it. Okay, perfect. Please vote on which the question not to be put and that we do not vote on this motion. Okay. That has been supported, so we will not be voting on this motion. Thanks, Owen. I think they call that self-sabotage. We will stay with you and we'll move to the no detriment policy, another motion. No one wanted to vote on your motion this year.
That says a lot, really.
We'll just get it up on the screen. So this motion was put forward at CRC7, just our first virtual CRC, and has been postponed to now. So we'll discuss it now, please.
So essentially, spoiler alert, I'm going to be proposing the same procedural motion for this, but I just thought that I would use this chance to inform Council of the policy that has been brought out by UCD, just because they have a very comprehensive policy in terms of grading standards being reviewed, CAs being reviewed, grading being reviewed, everything like that. Even after grading exams, UCD will check individual performance across modules and look for patterns that suggest an impact on performance from week 8 onwards. Grade distribution will be evaluated and compared to distributions over the previous 3 years. If anomalies appear, changes to grades may be implemented, and all affected grades will increase by at least 1 grade point, example D- to D, or hopefully anything higher than that. Students' grades will be reviewed for the current trimester in context of grades for the previous 3 years, with special attention on final year students. No late submissions of coursework will receive penalties under these new rules, and resit attempts will be graded according to full grading scale, not considered pass-fail as per the current regulations, which is the same as we have in DCU. They have also noted across the board that every student in the university has extenuating circumstances, so there's no need for anyone to submit a form in terms of extenuating circumstances for COVID-19, because it does affect us all. If someone has a special circumstance in terms of being frontline, they can submit a form for that. But I think just in terms of saving work for a lot of people, especially at an administrative level, it would definitely be a good approach for DCU to take, rather than them having hundreds and thousands of extenuating circumstances form just for people saying, I did my assessments during COVID-19. So I just thought I'd make Council aware of that, essentially, and then I will suppose let people come in and weigh in with questions before I propose to have the question not be put, because the motion just isn't suitable, I think, in its current form or anything like it. It'd have to be amended to bits, essentially.
Okay, I'll move to the president then, who has something to say.
Thanks, Melon. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying in terms of the question not being put and might not be as relevant anymore, but there's a lot of overlaps in this and in Ben's motion, so I think the same outcome will happen anyway. But in relation to the UCD one, I've been chatting to the presidents of the other institutions this morning in USI, and just in relation to that, because it's very wordy and we're kind of trying to figure out what it actually is, and then go forward. If that's the case in UCD, you know, we'd want it here. If that's how their students are being treated, we want our students to have the most benefit, or to be treated in the fairest way possible throughout COVID-19. So there's still kind of specifics being torn out, because the way you even like read that out from the way they said it is quite hard to understand. So our plan at the moment is to talk to UCD and continue talking to the presidents in USI, see what everyone understands that policy as and what it actually means for their students, and then go forth and look at DCU to implement the same types of things. I'm not saying that will definitely happen in no way, shape or form, but what I am saying is that if this is the case in UCD, we would like our students to have the same opportunity and chance to perform to their best ability in DCU. And obviously, in terms of no detriment or no academic disadvantage, there are things the DCU are doing that other institutions are doing as well that are good, like no repeat fees. You can postpone till August should you wish. That's not a problem. And when you're doing your exams, you can, or your assessments, you can submit them by email, because they understand people's internet isn't great. There'll be a support telephone line and email line there ready for people while they're doing these assessments and whatnot. But I do think that we need to look at if UCD are going that far, are we able to as well?
Okay, thank you, Christine. Rory Williams-Doyle, name of course.
Rory Williams-Doyle, CPSS D4. Sorry if this is just a really slow question, but like, am I right in saying that if you still fail your summer exam and then you do the repeat, the most you can still get is a pass? Is that still the case? Or if you fail your summer exam and then you do the repeat and then you got, say, a first, will you get the first, if you know what I mean? Is that the UCD policy or whatever you were looking into? I'm just a bit confused.
So in terms of what I've read on the UCD policy, it says here, this is from their college newspaper was the only thing I could find it in. The exact wording I found was resit attempts will be graded according to the full grading scale and not considered pass-fail as per the current regulations. So from my reading of that, I would say yes.
Yeah, I think Christine has her hand up to respond.
I'm going to unmute Christine.
Yeah, so what I'll do, just to let you all know, is describe the current situation in DC, what happens, and then describe the ideal one, or what UCD are doing, essentially. So basically in DC at the moment, if you fail an exam or an assessment in May, so let's say you got 20%, DCU normally would count that 20% when they're calculating your average. But this year what they're doing is they'll count the pass grade, which is 40%, when they're calculating your average. However, you still must pass that module to progress to graduation or to the next year. Therefore, you'd have to resit that in August. And when you sit that in August, the grade that you get, let's say you got 70, that will go on your transcript. However, when you are when they calculated your average, so your 2-1 or whatever, they would have counted 40. What I presume from what UCD is doing, because they're giving all students extenuating circumstances. Now, as I said, we really don't know what the policy is in UCD, but if they're saying that all students are getting extenuating circumstances, in DCU, if all students were to have extenuating circumstances, then they count it as your first attempt when you sit it in August. So if you sat in August and got 70, but you got 20 when you sat it in May, they count your August one both on your transcript and when calculating your average. Now, I don't know how UCD specifically works in terms of their extenuating circumstances and calculating averages, because every institution does it so differently. But if extenuating circumstances were to be applied to all students automatically, that is how it would be done, if that makes sense to people. I hope I haven't confused anyone.
Yes, I'll unmute Rory so he can respond.
Is it possible for us to talk to the university about moving towards that sort of an approach? Because honestly, that sounds an awful lot more preferable for students, and especially the students I represent, than the current solution.
Christine, I'll unmute you, sorry. Yeah, you should be unmuted.
Thank you. No, and I think that because UCD have come out with this, and if I'm right in saying what I'm saying there, and if we go back and confirm with UCD, they represent like over 30,000 students, and that would be a big move. If another university in Ireland was going in that direction, then I think we'd have a lot more stamina to go back to the university. So 100% in terms of Ben's motion, I think that kind of ties in with it, that we'd be going back with that to ensure that if this is the fairest way for our students going forward, we will bring up that conversation with the university. As I said, there's no definite guarantee they'll take it on board, but we'll push for it.
Okay, thanks, Rory. Ben, if you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I wanted to kind of add to that kind of sentiment that I think it's quite disappointing that UCD have managed to come out with a shorter, much clearer and much more fair policy than DCU. It's kind of disappointing to have that kind of like, particularly expecting institutions to talk together. And it's quite disappointing that QQI as a whole hasn't kind of like grabbed the reins on this and gone, what are you doing? What are you doing? Can we have some sort of consensus? Because there was a lot of talk about maintaining standards and qualities of degrees and stuff, but it seems to be that the level of interaction with QQI has been either very little, or they actually have very little say in these kind of outcomes.
I'm going to unmute Cal, VP for Academic Affairs. Cal, if you want to offer any clarifications.
Yeah, just really quickly, I would just say take everything about that UCD policy with a pinch of salt. There's been no policy published at the moment. That's just an email that was sent, that was from a discussion of what the policy may look like in an email to the president. And that's just a newspaper article at the moment. There's no policy at the moment, and that's why no one has really pulled the trigger here and been talking about it more, because it's not in concrete and cement yet. So just take everything with a pinch of salt. We're not really sure how that's going to play out. UCD aren't even entirely sure how that's going to play out. But in terms of QQI, what you were just saying there, Ben, QQI basically said they are leaving it up to free reign for universities and IoTs to kind of make decisions themselves. They're not going to tell people what they should and shouldn't do, but they're going to support the institutions in their own decisions as long as they are within regulations. That was the line from QQI. That's all I have to say. Hope that makes sense.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah, no, that makes sense on the QQI front, and it is an interesting clarification on the UCD one, and you'd be hopeful that they'd follow through with that. But
no, they probably will, but you can't be sure to what extent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what I'm
Thank
saying.
you.
don't put the cart before the horse. When you're being like, UCD, you're definitely doing this, but we just don't know for certain.
All right, thank you, Cal. Just going to move to Circa Nihungla. Circa.
Hiya. I was chatting to some of the part-time reps in UCD over the weekend because some of my friends are the Irish officers and stuff there. And there's an article out that only came out there Sunday evening on their paper about like what their stuff is, but nothing has been set in stone, as Cal said. So I'm basically repeating what he said, that their original policies aren't fully changed. So we would take it with a grain of salt until there's official unteasing of it done. Like there's a few bits in here, like no late submissions, research temps with a grade according to the full grading scale, which sounds kind of similar to what ours is in some ways, like that if you fail May, you get your research in August and it's going to be that grade and not the May grade. So I wouldn't panic too much yet. Like to be fair, like there's nothing totally concrete from them yet, but when we see what is going on there, I suppose that's somewhere you could look then. But I'd be worried about relying on articles until we have like proper something set in stone from them, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Circa. I'm going to move to Lawrence Cuff. Lawrence, you're unmuted. And name and course code, please.
Hi, Lawrence Cuff, HDSD, the open education thing. I also teach, and just in terms of all the response we've got from the classes we're representing and so on, we have to be aware that there's a big cohort out there who are going to be so advantaged that we have no communication with them at all. So when we're thinking about the feedback we've got from other members of our class, there may be a big group out there who have no bandwidth whatsoever or are looking after aged relatives who are in the process of dying and so on. And I think we've got to keep them in mind as a kind of silent group who are out there. That's me done.
Thank you, Lawrence. I am going to move to Jimmy Barry Murphy.
Yeah, Jimmy Barry Murphy, SE3. Can I just get clarification again on DCU's current policy and how it is different to what is proposed in the UCD article?
Okay, we'll move straight to the president.
Yeah, first.
You're muted again.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christine, I muted you.
Am I back?
That was my fault.
That's okay. Just to say firstly, in response to Lawrence, thanks so much for saying that. 100. Really disadvantaged from this more than the average person is disadvantaged by COVID. So the people who are living and have a bereavement, there's so many of those, and we always are considering those when we're talking to the university as
Okay, we are having a slight technical issue. I'm just not sure whether it's my own internet and everyone else can hear or not. Yeah, Owen.
I could probably try and clarify it myself if Christine's having issues.
Essentially, I think we'll just hold on and see can Christine
come back
over. But
I can explain the DCU one.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Please do. Yeah.
So currently, usually in DCU, say we're in no pandemic or anything like that, if you fail in May and repeat in August, you're still like, say you get 20 in May and you get 70 in August, 70 will go in your transcript, but they would usually use the 20% calculation your prior to get through whatever. Now they're using the pass rate, so 40 or 50 was a particular module. So your pass rate will, instead of using 20 in all thing, use 40. Whereas UCD, if Owen can clarify this, they're just kind of going straight, like it's at first attempt August.
That's what I'd understand from my reading of it, yes. But as everyone has noted so far, that it's not a full policy yet. It's only sort of a set of guidelines and sort of general direction of what way they're expecting it to go. So again, a pinch of salt, as everyone else has said. But it's certainly a move that would be far more student friendly, I think, than the current one in DCU.
Okay, I want to move quickly to Kate Goodman. Kate, name a course code, please. Sorry. Kate,
Hi, Kate Goodman, I'm 3. So I'm not sure if this is actually appropriate for this motion. Maybe you could tell me if it should be an A or B. But just for business, most of us have got assignments. So the majority of our assignments are due around the 1st and 2nd week of May. And the reason that is because registry still wants all the results submitted by the 21st. And it was just brought up that maybe that date of the 21st could be pushed back considering the circumstances, just to allow the option for extensions on assignments if the classes did feel like they needed them.
Thanks, Kate. I have had a procedural motion to that the question now be put. So I'm going to have to hold discussion until that motion has been voted on. So that motion will pop up in a poll now. That would be vote on the motion.
Any opportunity to speak on
that? I'm afraid not.
Okay.
Okay, the motion has, the procedural motion has passed, so we will now vote directly with no more discussion. So poll will pop up now and we'll vote on the motion. Okay, so that motion has been accepted. Okay, that was peculiar. So we can move on. We'll have to move on to our next item for information, which is the Opinion X report provided by Christine Farrell. Christine, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Sorry, can I just clarify there that people knew what they were voting on, that they knew that it was that you were voting on the question, not the motion not to be put, or that you were voting on the motion? Because I feel like people didn't know that.
The initial vote was for the question to be put, which was the procedural motion I got. I did say that, and it did read that on the poll.
I didn't really get that myself now, and because I thought that Owen had earlier suggested that the question not be put, so that we were voting on for it just to be that a question was put and that it not be put. So I think that that's not clear amongst people.
Okay, Owen did suggest that he would do that, but because he hadn't done that yet, I had to take the first procedural motion. The motion was passed, and the question was put, and
but were people clear on it? Does someone want to jump in and raise their hand and say that they fully understood it? Just one student, that's fine, as long as people were, as long as the rest were. I know I was.
I'll talk to Owen.
To be quite honest, I'm not sure if people understood what it was, because firstly, that motion there as itself includes a mandate to report back on their process in CRC8, which is now. So obviously that's incompatible, and the motion was amended at CRC7 also. So I think the motion in itself actually isn't compatible.
Completely invalid. So,
okay,
yes.
I will return. I'm going to return to that motion now, because
in my summation, I was going to ask people to vote against it as well because it's invalid.
Yeah, Thank you. So I will return to it. I know we have voted, so it is as of now binding, but if we, it is my discretion to bring it back because it was unclear. And if it is now something differently happens, that is binding regardless of the former result. So I'm going to return to before the original procedural motion. The procedural motion was that the question now be put. Owen, do you want to just speak on what you think of the question now being put?
Grant, I'm happy for the question to now be put, but I would encourage people to vote against this motion. The whole sort of nature of this and the way I came into it was to enable a platform of discussion about the proposed UCD policy and just a general discussion around sort of academic arrangements and things like that. The motion in itself is sort of completely incompatible with actually getting anything done. So vote yes to put the question and then vote against the motion would be, in the ultimate move of self-sabotage, what I would suggest. If anyone is clear on that.
Would it be wiser, Cormac, to change and own, rather than putting asking for the question to be put and then voting against the question? Would you be interested in changing it that the question is not put?
Whoever proposed the procedural motion, if they'd like to go for that, yeah, grand. But once the procedural motion has been put forward, you have to vote on it, I think.
Okay, I have had a procedural motion 4A5. I think that it does make procedural sense to do this first, and if that fails, we will then go to a motion that question now be put. So we are going to vote now procedural motion 4A5 that the question not be put. So this would mean that we would move on from this motion now, and we will not vote on it as we did with the previous motion. I hope that is clear to everyone. I will take just some comment because I don't want any more confusion. Christine, do you wish to say something?
No, that makes perfect sense. I was just trying to say that I just think people were confused that when the question was being put, that I think they wanted the discussions to end, but that they wanted Owen's thing to be put. So I think we're all clear now. That sounds great. Thanks, Cormac. It's the tech, it's the Zoom.
Okay. I have an issue. So I've the wrong procedural motion I have read. So the procedural motion 4A5 that is a challenge to the chair's ruling. It takes precedence over the other motion. So I'm going to go to Jimmy Barry Murphy, who proposed it. Jimmy, what do you have to say about this? So this is a motion. This is a procedural motion that is a challenge to the chair's ruling of what I have decided. So Jimmy.
Okay, so Jimmy Barry Murphy, SE3, as per Schedule D standing orders for CRC, when a procedural motion is called, the person who called the procedural motion gets to speak. If it is then passed before the original motion is voted on, the person who proposed that gets a chance to speak then as well, and just that didn't happen. So I think that's what caused the confusion. So
okay,
I would move to null the votes and do them again.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing for everyone. Just forget about what happened and we'll go from here. Sounds great. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so we'll have to take a vote on that because a procedural motion has been raised. So the procedural motion is procedural motion 4A5. It's a challenge to the chair's ruling. It is to go back to when the original procedural motion was called, to give so that we can act in accordance with Schedule D. So hopefully we can have a poll up. Yeah. So this is to make the votes null and void and rerun the votes. Okay, thank you. That motion has been passed, so we will now null the votes related, and we will go back and rerun. The first vote that I we will run is to not answer the motion. Owen Crossan has raised this. Owen, would you like to speak on it? Oh, sorry, I'm way in. There you go.
So this is for procedural motion 4A2 that the question not be put, yeah?
Yes.
Just to clarify. Yeah, as I said before, the mandate is kind of invalid. Contradictory, doesn't really do anything, mandates an update now when obviously that's not possible. So I'd urge you to vote in favour of not putting the question. So vote yes, essentially.
Okay. If anyone wishes to speak in favour of voting against this motion, Rory, do you wish to comment on this motion, procedural motion?
Yes, Rory Williams Doyle, CPS's D4. Just as a quick question for the chair in regards to the procedure arising from the 4A5 passed a second ago. Do we now have to rerun the silly version of this first, of doing the 4A1 first, seeing as that strictly was the vote that we should be rerunning?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, that we just go for it. I'm going to interpret the Constitution in that way because I can, and we're going to move forward because I think people.
That's grand. That's grand. As long as we have an interpretation on the record for that one.
I as chair interpret that the motion was null and void because that was the wording, and it is now my opinion that the cleanest way of going about this now is voting for the question not to be put and proceeding on based on how that goes. I think that that's the smartest way of working right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you. I will now move to the procedural motion 4A2 that the question not be put, and that poll will pop up.
I'd just like to take this chance to apologise to everyone for the confusion that I've caused. Seems to have created a bit of a mess. Apologies.
It's okay. Okay, please vote now if you wish the question not to be put. Okay, so that procedural motion has been supported. The question will not be put and we will move immediately on after a while. Thank you, Owen and everyone for being involved. I'm sorry for any confusion. There was a lot of tossing and turning there. But we can now move on. The next item is an item for information. The president will talk on the no detriment, the opinion X report. So I will just, Christine, sorry. Christine, you can work away, please.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emil, Cormac, and thanks everyone for all those last motions of this year. Yeah, so basically in terms of Opinion X, we were saying that we needed to kind of know how students were getting on. So Opinion X is a new kind of startup set up by a final year Mint student called Daniel Kine, and we use this platform to engage with students to see how they're getting on with their online feedback stuff. So online learning and assessments and all that, and how it's going for everyone. So I just basically put this report in here. It's just literally so that you all have it. I'm just completing that feedback loop. I've sent it on to all the higher people in DCU, and I wanted to use to see it too.
I think Cormac thought you might be speaking for a little bit longer.
What do you think?
I think he might have thought you were going to speak for a little bit longer, and he seems to have.
Yeah, I feel like he did. Katie, do you want to pull up Opinion X there on the screen if you can?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well. Cormac's obviously gone to make himself a quick cup of tea, or maybe
2 seconds.
Yeah, right.
My email.
I think we all needed a break. There, he's back.
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to put it up?
We missed you, Cormac.
I'm sorry, was that a long break? I was expecting that to be a long motion.
sorry. I was just letting them know that it's there and they can read it and that it's great. We're brought feedback to the university and hope that they take it on board as well. And it was great to use the platform.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Christina. Sorry for my absence. Okay, so we will move on now. I just need to see. It is 2:20. I'd like to see if Podge Sheehan can tell us, does he have results of the elections?
I do, yes.
Okay, we'll move to the AOB motion, the AOB point on secretary and chair results. So,
yep. So thanks to everyone who voted firstly. But for the election of secretary, we had one candidate who was Sinead Whelan. Total amount of votes that came in were 44. Sinead Whelan received 42 votes, and reopen nominations received 2 votes. Therefore, Sinead Whelan is elected as your secretary for Classroom Council next year. Regarding the elections of the chairperson, we had again one candidate for that, which was Owen Crossan. The total amount of votes that were received was 57. Owen Crossan received 55 votes, and reopen nominations received 2 votes. Therefore, Owen Crossan is elected as your chairperson for CRC next year. So congratulations to both Sinead and Owen.
I wish you could hear the raucous applause that you deserve, the both of you. Owen, you're a fantastic class rep, and I'm very glad that you have run for this position. I know you're going to do an excellent job, only because Sinead's going to be helping you and she knows everything. And that's the only reason I got through this year. So you're not going to have any issues. We will move back to you at the end, but I want to move swiftly to the class rep awards. I'm going to let Christine, do you want to take the lead on this?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's me. I'm going to share my screen because we have a presentation for it, if that's all right. If someone wants to enable me to do that, Katie Faye or Podge Sheehan. If you go to share screen, it's mostly beside that. Oh, I'm now the co-host. Yay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Let's hope this works. Yes, can everyone see that clearly? Fantastic. Okie dokie. So yes, class rep awards. Here we go. So they're happening at this time right now. I just want to say thank you to all the reps. There's over 460 of you. You're all amazing. We love you all. You're doing a great job. You've done a great job this year, and you'll continue to do great jobs. This is my 5th year in Class Rep Council, so it's my 40th CRC. So I've seen all types, and you've been a great bunch. So well done. So we received over 160 nominations for these awards. Am I frozen? No, I'm not. Brilliant. And it was very hard to choose, but special thanks to Podge and Katie, who were on the organising committee with me for this. And they were decided by the exec team, so everyone was kind of involved in different awards. So firstly, we'll kick off with the faculty specific awards. So first up is the business faculty. So the runner-up for Class Rep of the Year in the business faculty is Erica Russell. And the winner is Leah McFadden. So well done to the 2 of those ladies in the business faculty, and thanks to Hazel for helping us out with that award. So well done to you guys. The next faculty is Science and Health, and the runner-up for this award is Jennifer O'Connell. Well done to Jennifer. And the winner is Cody Saunders. So well done to Cody as well. It's brilliant, guys. Next up is the Institute of Education Class Rep of the Year. The runner-up in this category is Joanna Codd, and the winner for this award is Bill Carley. So well done to those 2 as well. Brilliant stuff. And just to let everyone know that all of these people will be getting lovely certificates posted to them or something as well, so that they have them. So next up is the Humanities and Social Sciences faculty. So the runner-up for Class Rep of the Year is Emma Jones, and the winner is Raluca Andronic. So well done to those 2 as well. That's brilliant. And thanks to Quiva for helping us out. Engineering and computing, the runner-up in this category is Faith Dempsey, so well done to Faith. And the winner is Levi Nastase, so well done to him as well. Fantastic. And our last faculty award is for the DCU Connected Class Rep of the Year. There's no runner-up in this category. It's just the one winner, but a huge well done to Lawrence Cuff. Thanks so much, Lawrence. That's brilliant. So that concludes just the faculty specific ones. So I'll move on now. And the next two awards we're going to do are postgrad, so just area specific awards. So it's Postgraduate Rep of the Year and First Year Rep of the Year. So first up, we have the Postgrad Rep of the Year, and thanks to Amy for helping us out with this one. So the runner up for this award is Kim Shortall, and the overall winner is Cathal Dunn. So well done to those two as well. That's brilliant. We love to see engagement from our postgrads. It's fantastic. The next award is for First Year Rep of the Year. Now there are multiple runners up for this award because there was so many lovely nominations in, and first years are so integral to our class rep council, and it's so much harder to go out and be a rep in first year. You know, you're only in the university, so I think a big well done to these ones. So the runners up include Sarah Jones, Laura Furlong, Matthew Brennan, Michelle Luden, Lisa Rose McMahon, Sarah Moses, and Aisling Hurley. So well done to those. And the overall winner in this category is Chloe McNamara. So huge well done to Chloe for that one as well. And the last three areas, so class rep recognition awards, there's multiple recipients of this one. Then there is overall rep of the year, which will be presented by Katie Fay, and then outstanding contribution to the SCU and CRC, which will be presented by Pod Sheehan. So just in terms of the class rep recognition awards, that is one for just reps that have been fantastic overall. We've noticed them, they've been nominated, and they just really deserve a huge recognition. So there's a few of those as well. It's Ben McMahon, Jacob Byrne, Thomas Carrigan, Sarah Jones, Katie Duffy, and Brian Mullery. So well done to those 6 individuals, and really appreciate them. And now I will move over to Katie Fay, who will do overall rep of the year. Katie, ready? I can still do the clicking for you if that's it.
Yeah. Overall, we've got multiple nominations in for this season.
Katie, you're breaking up on us.
My internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Go again there.
Fire ahead.
We good?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
Yeah, just basically loads and loads of praise for this class rep. I've been a rep for 3 or 4 years for their class, and class couldn't have been any more praise. So our overall rep of the year is Owen Weir from Moore.
Congratulations, Owen Weir.
Well done to Owen Weir. That's fantastic. Mint 4, well done. He had huge nominations, as Katie said. For anyone who couldn't hear Katie, there was just some lovely comments coming in about Owen. So well done to him. And our last award, which Pod will come in on if he can unmute himself, that'd be great, is the outstanding contribution to SEU or CRC. Pod, you ready?
Yes, thanks, Christine. Just want to say that there was actually a huge number of nominations for this, and also that there are a number of individuals who have been outstanding over the course of a couple of years who've made a huge contribution to them. But for me, I suppose that, you know, when we looked at this in these contributions, there's one individual that really stood out, and they've went above and beyond in the role year on year. And I suppose from my own experience, I've had the pleasure of working with this individual over the past 4 years, and they are an exemplar rep, and they represent everything we hope for and look for in class representatives. And they've been a huge advocate and fighter for ensuring the student voice is always at the forefront of the university. They've never been afraid to stand out from the crowd. They always speak up for what they believe in. And most importantly, I think they always only act in the best interests of the class and students in general, and never push their own agenda or do anything for their own self-interest. But above all and everything, that this individual, you know, is just generally a nice individual. They're always friendly, they're always polite, even if they're holding people to account, to do it in such a lovely manner. And I think they're going to really leave a big gap for all other reps to fill. And on a personal level, even myself, I'll miss their contributions to the Students' Union and the impact that they're going to have and have had on campus. So I suppose the award for outstanding contribution to Students' Union and Class Tower Council is no doubt awarded to Rory Williams-Doyle.
Well done, Rory. Very deserved. So well done to all of our winners and all of the nominees and everyone who put in nominations as well, because it wasn't just reps, it was also students that are in your classes that had really, you know, gone out of their way. So what we'll be doing is sending out lovely certificates to all of you, and we'll be letting students and staff know that you've won. But yeah, I think that's a nice way to finish up our last Class Tower Council of the year. I know there's no other AOB, but I guess to thank Cormac and Sinead firstly for all of their fantastic work this year as chair and secretary. Minutes, everything was always fantastic, and the meetings, so well done, and even adapting online, he's been fantastic. To Podsheen, he's our returning officer, he's been fantastic with all of our elections and everything, the referenda and the ERC as well, and they've been brilliant. This is probably the last time you might see myself and some of our executive team and some of the sabbatical officers. But thanks so much for a great year. You've all been brilliant and stay representing, and yeah, best luck to all of the teams next year.
Done. Congratulations to all the winners. You're all very much deserving. And for those of you that are not graduating, I hope that you stay involved in the Students' Union and keep the student voice heard. Express a special well done to Rory, who deserves this award more than anyone. So I'm very happy for you. I want to congratulate Sinead on her re-election. Sinead has been a spectacular secretary. I don't know how smooth this appeared to you, but it wasn't smooth at all. If it wasn't for Sinead. There's a lot of difficulties that come to being the chair, but if you have a secretary like Sinead, you really don't face any issues. So thank you, Sinead, and congratulations. I would like to now finish up my time as the chair. I'd like to thank you all. I'd like to ask you all to keep involved in your union, fight for students, and always have their voice heard. And I know that you can do that under the capable hands of your new class representative chairperson, Owen Crossan. So Owen, would you like to have your first address?
Thanks, Cormac. First of all, congratulations on a fantastic year as CRC chair. It's really been brilliant. To Sinead, congratulations again. And I am so lucky, from what Cormac said, to be able to work with someone as organized as you, and as someone who's actually my friend as well. So that's really nice. To Christine and the rest of the executive team, thank you so much for all the work you've done advocating for students throughout the year. It's been brilliant. To those final year class reps, thank you so much for representing your class the whole way through. Even if they don't tell you, they really appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. For all the reps returning next year, I apologize that you're going to have to hear my voice so much more. But other than that, I hope everyone stays safe and well, and hopefully we'll be able to be back in person for CRC1 next semester. So have a great evening. Have a great rest of everything else. I hope assignments and everything go well. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good year.
Bye, everyone.